Welcome back to another video. It's Danielle, and in this one I managed to have a full day of really tasty but also really healthy meals. There's lots of protein involved, so if you are trying to reach your fitness goals, this is perfect for you. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing I'm going to make is a carrot cake baked oatmeal. I'm starting with 1 carrot. I'm just going to go ahead and peel it. And then if I had a grater, I would have used that, but I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and try my best to julienne this carrot. I'm not the best at it, but I was able to get it into small enough pieces to put it into the oatmeal. You could also just put this into a food processor and break it down that way as well. Now that my carrot is ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the actual oatmeal recipe. And this is a blended oatmeal, so it's kind of more like a cake than it is an oatmeal. So we're going to start with a ½ cup of oats. Next, we're putting in 1 tablespoon of vanilla protein powder. This is optional, but I decided to go ahead and add it. We're going to do 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a ½ teaspoon of vanilla, ½ cup of milk, 1 date for sweetness, a pinch of salt, and that is it. Then we're going to go ahead and blend it up. And if this recipe seems familiar, it's because it's my healthy oat pancake recipe. I just added a couple extra ingredients. And then we're going to put our mixture into an oven-safe ramekin. These will be linked below if you're interested. I'm going to add my carrot. I went ahead and measured it. It was about a 1/3 cup of carrot. 1 tablespoon of raisins. And then we're going to give it a good stir to mix everything very well. See those bubbles forming? That's a really good sign. So at this point I realized that I left out the spices, so I went ahead and added just a little bit of nutmeg and also probably about a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Gave it another stir, and now it's going into a 400-degree oven, and it took about 25 minutes to bake. So this is what it looked like when it came out. So good. It was super hot though, so I did give it a few minutes to let it cool, and during that time it definitely fell a bit. And now to serve it, I'm just going to top it with some vanilla yogurt. This is definitely sweetened, so this is kind of like our frosting on top. So I just went ahead and put a really good dollop of it onto the carrot cake baked oats. Also sprinkled with a little bit of cinnamon, and that completes our breakfast. I absolutely demolished this breakfast. These oats were so good. Definitely tasted like a cake. It wasn't super sweet. If you want it to really be sweet, you could definitely add another date, or you could add a different kind of sweetener like some sugar or honey or anything that you want to sweeten it. Some molasses might even be good in this, just because you want that caramelly kind of flavor. Couldn't hurt. But the combination of the warm baked oats with the cold vanilla yogurt was so good. This was just, oh my gosh, this was really good. Highly recommend this recipe if you guys have a few extra minutes one morning to prepare yourself a nice warm breakfast. For lunch, I decided to make some chicken breasts. So I went ahead and laid my chicken breasts out on a cutting board. And as you guys have seen me do before, I went ahead and took a cup and pounded them out just to bring them all to roughly the same thickness. I don't want them to have really thick parts and then really thin parts, because as we know, that makes them cook unevenly. And now that they're all about the same thickness, it's time to go ahead and season them. I'm seasoning them really simply this time. So I'm adding some salt, garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, and paprika. You really don't have to do a lot when it comes to chicken. If you can just add those few seasonings, you really will have a flavorful piece of meat in the end. Now that I have them all completely seasoned, I'm just going to go ahead and rub that seasoning in on all of the chicken breasts. I season them pretty heavily on one side, and then I just kind of rub it all over both sides of the chicken. And now that that's done, it's time to pop them into a hot pan. So I'm just going to go ahead and get some olive oil into my pan, pop the chicken breast in, and allow them to cook on both sides. I had mine cooking on medium-high heat, probably at about an 8. And it took about 6 to 8 minutes to cook them on both sides. I would say I did 3 to 4 minutes per side. So it doesn't take long at all. But the key to having like a tender chicken breast and a really flavorful one too is to really get a good sear on the outside. So that's why I have the heat cranked up so high, so that they can cook fast versus kind of allowing them to simmer in their juices, which is going to essentially boil them, and that's not really what we want. After a few minutes, I went ahead and flipped them over, and you can see that we're making some really good progress with respect to how well they're cooking. You can see some white starting to peek around the edges and coming up through the center, and you can also see that they have a really good char on the outside. So of course I cleaned and disinfected my cutting board really well, and now I'm just chopping up the chicken into bite-sized chunks. And I also went ahead and cut 1 ear of corn. I just cut the corn off the cob because what we're making requires corn as well. So let me show you guys what we're having for lunch. So we're making a really hearty and delicious salad with the homemade lemon vinaigrette. So I'm starting off with my spring mix, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in that corn, as well as some tomato. I'm also throwing in half of a mini avocado, some bacon bits, and you guys have seen me use this hack I don't know how many times, but I just go ahead and buy the real bacon bits at Aldi or whatever store you're shopping at. These are actual cooked bacon that they've already chopped up for you, so I added probably about 2 tablespoons, and then I went ahead and topped it off with some of the chicken that we just prepared. And then as a final touch and last ingredient, we're also going to add a small handful of chopped cilantro. This salad looks absolutely amazing just like this, but we still need to make the dressing, so let me show you how to do it. We're going to take the juice of 1 lemon and 1 lime. I'm using the ones that are already in the bottle, so you don't even have to worry about juicing a lemon or a lime. Next, we're going to add in 1/4 cup of olive oil, also adding in about 1 tablespoon of honey for sweetness, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And then as a final touch, of course, we need to season it, so we're going to add some salt and pepper to taste. Then put the lid on your mason jar and give it a really vigorous shake. Now we're going to go ahead and top our salad with half of the dressing, and we're going to save the other half for a meal prep. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how to meal prep a salad jar. But for this salad, all we need to do now is mix it up and enjoy. And I promise you, this salad was so good. I don't know what it is about that homemade dressing, and the cilantro just adds a ton of flavor. You combine that with the fresh veggies, the bacon, freshly prepared chicken. It was just so good. Chef's kiss. Now to build our salad jar, we're going to go ahead and start with the ingredients that can be wet. So you don't want to put the lettuce in the bottom. So we're going to start with the chicken. And then we're going to add in the corn, tomato, cilantro, all that stuff. We really want to put all of those ingredients that won't be harmed by the dressing in the bottom of the jar. And then we want to put the lettuce on top. So once I had all the other ingredients inside the jar, I went ahead and added in some lettuce. And I'm just going to really cram it in. You want to make sure that you get a good amount of lettuce in there, and it won't hurt it for you to press it down some. And then I realized that I forgot the bacon bits, so I just sprinkled those right on top of the lettuce, closed up the jar, and now you can just pop this into the fridge and you have your salad for tomorrow's lunch prepped and ready to go. I found this granola at Giant, and I guess it's one of their seasonal flavors or something, I don't know, but this is so good. It's papaya coconut granola. It actually has dried papaya chunks in it as well as some dried coconut shreds. It is just delicious. It gives you like a really tropical vibe with the combination of the papaya and the coconut. So good. I had a really small handful just to have a little bit of sweetness. And then for dinner, we decided to have sandwiches. So I took some of this 12-grain bread that you guys have seen me use I don't know how many times, put a little bit of Miracle Whip on it, as well as some mustard, and then I just started building the sandwich with some roasted chicken breast as well as some ham. I put some pepper jack cheese, lettuce, tomato, and that was it. And then I went ahead and closed up the sandwich and cut it in half, and half was for my son, the other half was for me. And then to go with my sandwich, I just had some strawberries. And that completed my meals for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.